And we're live. Welcome to Virtually Connecting ePatients. This is a special version of VConnecting ePatients where we're going to talk today with some of the authors from the book Agony and Absurdity, Adventures in Cancerland, which is here. And we'll put there's a link, I think, in the announcement, actually, which is a book that was put out by the Bay Area Young Survivors, which is a group, a support group for women who were diagnosed with breast cancer under the age of 45. And so with that, I'm Rebecca Hogue. I am also known as Becky. I blog at VCePt. I'm an e-patient and a blogger and a member of the Bay Area Young Survivors. And I actually had a chapter in the book, although I probably won't be reading tonight. My chapter is already on YouTube because I recorded it during the book launch. And so with that, I'm going to pass it over to Brittany. Oh, and I'm in sunny Sunnyvale, California, except it's dark out, so it's not really sunny. In Sunnyvale, California.
Hi, everyone. I am Brittany Brown O'Donnell. I am also a e-patient, but I am not a breast cancer survivor. So I am honored to be here today to facilitate this conversation as an outside perspective with you guys. And I am in Blacksburg, Virginia, late at night here at 10:30, 10:40. So I hopefully we'll be wide awake to participate with you guys. Pass it on to you, Janet.
Hi, I'm Janet Solid, and I'm in San Francisco, and I am a member of Bay Area Young Survivors, and Bay's has a subgroup called Mets in the City for metastatic women. So I was diagnosed with breast cancer when I was 32, and it spread to my liver, and I was metastatic at age 34. And now I'm 42 and very excited.
Oh my goodness, that's awesome.
I'm an old timer at 42. And I'll read a couple pieces in the book. Oh, and I want to pass it on to Kristen.
Hi, everybody. My name is Kristen, and I'm connecting in from Marin County, just north of San Francisco. Hello, everybody. I was diagnosed with breast cancer 2.5 years ago, stage 3C. 3 is one of my favorite numbers, not because I had cancer. And I will be reading one of the 2 stories that I had published in the book. I'm really excited to be here. I will pass it over to Lori.
To me? To Lori?
Yes.
Hi, I'm Lori Pomerantz, and I was diagnosed with breast cancer 6 years ago when I was 41 years old. I had stage 2B breast cancer. I had mastectomy and lymph node dissection and chemo and radiation and reconstruction and failed reconstruction. And I am now just doing regular treatment, maintenance treatment, and I'm coming to you from San Francisco, California, where I live and work. And I have some stories. I was one of the editors on the book, Agony and Absurdity, Adventures in Cancerland, and I'll read tonight a short selection from one of the stories I wrote. And I'll pass it off to Lindsay.
Hi. My name is Lindsay Jean Thompson, and I also live in San Francisco. I was diagnosed this summer, 2 weeks after my 33rd birthday, with stage 3C breast cancer also. And I have been writing as I go on Medium. So I've been posting semi-regularly there, and my very first piece was included in the anthology, and that's what I will be reading from today.
Excellent. Alexandra, is that how you say it? If you want to try and introduce yourself, you are on mute at the moment.
Hi, I think I've got myself off mute now. I'm Alexandra Fraser, and I'm speaking to you from San Francisco, California. I am a survivor of stage 3 breast cancer. I was diagnosed in September of 2007. I am fortunate to be cancer-free today, but in 2015 I developed acute lymphedema, and I'll be reading to you today about my lymphedema experience.
Excellent. Excellent. And so now we've got everyone's introduced themselves. Yay. I'm Becky. I was diagnosed with breast cancer. I had 2A, but bilateral, so on both sides, which is weird. And so, and I am just coming up on my 2-year cancer-free day. I did neoadjuvant chemotherapy before I did surgery. And so my big surgery was December 17th, 2014. So yay. And as far as I know, I'm cancer-free, knock on wood. And so we decided Lindsay was going to start us off with the stories. Looking forward to it.
Should I go ahead and start?
Yeah.
Okay. I can't tell if she's concerned or just concentrating. I don't want to believe there's anything to be concerned about, so I decide she must have one of those deep thinking faces. Well, it doesn't look like a cyst, she says. It doesn't look like a cyst because it isn't a cyst. 4 days later, I'm back for a mammogram and an ultrasound. The mammogram technician is a third-generation San Franciscan. She tries to distract me with small talk, and I let her. What do you do? Where are you from? My turn. How long have you been doing this? 37 years. Longer than I've been alive. It seems like she's taking a lot of x-rays. I lose count, and this feels like a bad sign. Are you crying because I'm hurting you? She asks. No. It does hurt, though. Because I'm young and my breast tissue is dense, they have to apply a lot of pressure in order to get a good image. I can see the x-rays on the screen, and they're kind of beautiful in a strange way. The orb of my breast lit up with this newly discovered supernova. Otherworldly. My very own exploding star. How could something so pretty be bad? Luckily, I'm not shy about being naked. Getting a mammogram is like the world's least sexy photo shoot. Turn a little to the left, a little bit more. Lift your chin, hold your breath. Don't move, don't move, don't move. She leaves to show the doctor what she's found and then returns to take more. By the time she takes me to the ultrasound, she can't even make eye contact with me anymore. I don't blame her. I imagine this many years of breaking bad news would wear on a person. I've spent virtually no time in a waiting room today, though it all feels like waiting. I watch the seconds on the clock because it's easier than watching the disappointment on the sonographer's face. When I can't stand looking at the tick, 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 my eyes wander to the ceiling. I study every seam, every symmetry, every irregularity. There's a long, narrow piece missing near the cupboards, and I can't decide which bothers me more. That it's not there, or that I can't remember what it's called. What the fuck is that called? Particle board? It's not particle board. I still don't know. I've been here for more than 2 hours and start to wonder if I've gotten a parking ticket. I mean, come on. The doctor arrives and they speak some foreign language. He's curt with her. She's never standing in just the right place. She doesn't anticipate what he needs before he needs it. I don't like it. Tick, 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 tick. This clock is all tick and no tock. What's that about? What's the likelihood that someone my age with no family history of breast cancer, of any kind of cancer, would get it? It's not common, but it's not rare. Okay. When he finishes the exam, he removes his gloves with an efficient snap and washes his hands briskly, doctorly. I'm very concerned, he says. This is worrisome. He doesn't fucking look concerned. In addition to the main lump that I can feel, they found at least 2 more, one in my lymph nodes. Large portions of my breast are calcified. It looks like cancer, and when it looks like cancer, it's usually cancer. This is deeply offensive to me. Yo, doctor, I'm gonna let you finish, but I have some of the best breasts of all time. The best breasts of all time. I cry, and he says nothing to make me feel better. They tell me it's time for their lunch break, and I can come back in half an hour for the biopsy. When I leave, I burst into tears again and call my best friend. She doesn't answer, but I know that she knows where I am today, and I know that this simple act of me calling in the middle of the day will worry her. My car doesn't have a parking ticket. A minor miracle, I'll take it. The biopsy isn't that bad. The worst part is keeping my arm overhead, which causes it to both go numb and cramp at the same time. I make a lame joke about it, and for the first time, the doctor cracks a smile. Your new favorite position, he says. Did he just make a sex joke? Maybe I like him a little bit after all. They do three biopsies, one of the large mass that brought me in, one in my armpit, and one closer to the nipple. Each time he walks me through the process as if I haven't heard him say it before. Now I'm going to clean the area. Now I'm going to numb it. Now you'll feel a cold gel. Now I'll numb it a little bit deeper. The machine sounds like a staple gun. He counts 1, 2, 3, but he never does it at 3, which makes me wonder why he bothers counting at all. I make the mistake of looking. I only feel one of them, and he gives me more to numb it. He leaves. How long have you been doing this? I ask the technician. 11 years. And him? He's the chief, she says. Oh. Do you have Tylenol at home? No, why? Am I going to be in pain? Well, yeah, you had 3 biopsies. Okay. They tell me they'll call as soon as they get the results back. Not to shower for a day and not to lift or move anything for 2 or 3. That I should bring someone with me next time. Okay. After the biopsies, I have to get more x-rays. This time I have a different technician, and I'm glad because I don't know if I can handle seeing my old friend, the 3rd generation San Franciscan again. Exactly 3.5 hours, 4 Band-Aids, $134, and likely a cancer diagnosis later, I get to go. First I call Kim, and then I call Paula. My other best friend is at a 10-day meditation retreat, so I text her boyfriend to ask when she'll be available to talk. I try to sound casual, but he's a smart guy. I'm supposed to go to a bachelorette party this weekend. I debate about whether or not to tell the bride. Her mom died of cancer. So a wedding is not just a celebration, but also a sharp reminder of someone who is supposed to be there, but isn't. I decide that in the event that I can't go, it would be better for her to have a few days to process it than to spring it on her right before it's time to party. She can't stop saying fuck. After a few minutes, she starts to cry and tells me she has to go and she'll call me later. It's okay. I'd cry too. I start making a mental list of all of the people I'm going to have to call, but I don't know how many more of these I can do. So here I am telling you now. If you're one of the people I should have called but didn't, I'm sorry. I just can't. Do you want me to keep going? I know.
No, you're almost done, aren't you?
Yeah.
Yeah, finish it off.
Okay, Paula and Kim come over for dinner. Paula brings cake and Kim a nice bottle of rosé and a roasted chicken and flowers. I admire this in a friend, the ability to turn anything into a celebration. It's a good quality. Mostly it's like any other night. I can tell that they've talked though. Brave faces never look that brave. I tell them how anxious I am about having to call so many people. I don't know why this is my biggest concern, but it is. Paula suggests a phone tree, but this seems like cruel and unusual punishment. I wake up sore and surprised, glad for the Tylenol. Mostly, I feel fine. I definitely don't feel sick. Occasionally, I burst into tears. I buy food I don't want to eat. Mostly, I'm waiting. Tick, 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 tick. A ticking fucking time bomb. I go to work because what else can I do? I make plans that I might not want to keep. I skip dinner. Wednesday, I'm even more sore, but maybe it's just in my mind. I need to do laundry, but I'm pretty sure I'm not supposed to lift anything still. Liz and I have brunch, and she brings flowers too. The phone rings, and I think it's my doctor, but it's just a delivery guy. I go to meetings. We host an event. Someone I barely know says, "Hey, so-and-so told me. I just want you to know." Thoughts and prayers, thoughts and prayers. Thursday, one of my bruises is getting larger and I use it as pretext to call. I get passed around a few times. My results are in, but they're not sure who's supposed to give them to me. The chief radiologist is out for the day. The doorbell rings. More flowers. The doctor calls, finally. All 3 biopsies confirm that I have breast cancer. It's grade 3. This refers to how abnormal the cells are. The stage refers to how far it has spread, and he doesn't have a clear answer for me. At the very least, it has locally spread to my lymph nodes. I can't tell you how many times someone asks, "How are you?" in casual conversation in a week. Okay. 2 weeks ago, I wrote about how to find meaningful work. I ended with this. Most importantly, decide that you're going to be okay no matter what, and you will be. Trying to be okay.
Woo.
Thank you.
Thank you. That was fantastic.
Beautiful.
Thanks.
All right, Kirsten, you were going to read next.
Yes. I am reading a love letter to my port, who I affectionately named Paolo Porto. It really speaks to the title about the absurdity of breast cancer, and for me, personifying something so ridiculous as a port. For those of you who haven't seen them, I have Paolo right here. He was embedded in my chest, and this was only a fraction of the length of his tail that went into my body and came pretty close to my heart to deliver chemo and heparin flushes and all sorts of things. He is, I like to refer to as now, my ex-boyfriend, and I will read my love letter to him. Dear Paolo, we met under unusual and difficult circumstances. I was a week away from starting chemo, looking for love wherever I could find it. The interventional radiologist set us up on a blind date, July 30th, 2014. My friend who escorted me to the meetup liked the name Paolo Porto and the idea of me acquiring an Italian boyfriend. At least 16 future dates were already scheduled, so doesn't that qualify for referring to you as my boyfriend? Our first meeting lasted hours longer than expected. Silly me for thinking we could have a simple coffee chat in the surgery and treatment rooms. Instead, we had to wait in line while others talked and prepped. For days later, I couldn't stop thinking about you. Your placement just under my right clavicle made moving anything excruciatingly painful. The nurse couldn't even find you for my initial chemo, our first non-blind date. I took jabs to the left and below. You continued to play hide and seek for over half an hour. Not the time to be playing games, Paolo. I believed our relationship would continue down this adversarial path. After all, most of my long-term relationships were like this. What am I doing, I thought, partnering with yet another man who is out for himself without regard to how I feel? However, you proved me wrong. Once the swelling from our blind date went down, the nurses could easily find your bumpy little triangle. Through chemo, blood draws, and heparin flushes that left a bitter chemical taste in my mouth, I depended on you. You delivered what I needed, and you took what I had to give. You never gave me an infection, and you supported me through all of my breast cancer treatments. When chemo ended, my oncologist told me to break up with you. But I wasn't ready for our relationship to end. We needed to stay together longer, perhaps just until my 1-year cancerversary, when I would have my first post-treatment PET scan. We checked into the nuclear medicine department together, and I was grateful you were there with me. But they didn't know how to use you. I fought for your right to participate, as we were a couple, bound together. They eventually found a nurse who could help, who knew how to handle you. And we made it through together, no evidence of disease. Sometimes relationships, however successful, have to end. It's not you, Paolo, it's me. I'm moving on, past chemo, past active treatment. After a lot of introspection, heart-wrenching conversations with my girlfriends and family, and of course impulse shopping, I asked my plastic surgeon to remove you during the next phase of reconstruction. But not ready for a forever goodbye, Paolo, I'm keeping you in the friend zone. Now you rest on my desk, a handsome reminder of our nurturing relationship. Thank you, beautiful Paolo. Ti amo. Always, Kristen.
Love it.
That is so beautiful.
Thank you.
One of my best relationships ever.
And you're still friends.
I was
And
so
we're still friends. We're in the friend zone.
yeah, I'm so sad that they
Paolo.
wouldn't let me keep mine.
Oh,
Mine's right here. My little bumpy.
your little bumpy triangle.
Mhm.
Hopefully your relationship right now is as
We have a very
mine
nice
was.
relationship, but he doesn't have a name. The technician asked me when he put him in, if I had a name, and I was like, no, not yet. It has to come to me. I haven't been inspired.
oh, maybe we need to go on a double date.
Okay, I'm down.
We can come up with a good name.
Maybe you could help introduce him to me better.
I
We-
will. I will. I do speak fluent port.
Portuguese.
Yeah.
I think mine's Brazilian then.
Ooh.
Portuguese.
Yes.
Oh, I like that.
And so with that, Janet, do you want to read next?
Sure. So mine is a little play starring me and my body. I'll try to be two different people. Background music starts with MIA, Live Fast, Die Young, Bad Girls, Do It Well, that song. And then as the pain meds kick in, the music fades to Captain Jack will get you high tonight. That song? Okay, so that's the background music. I start. Hey, body, let's face it, you started this. Body says, yes, and if you'd leave me alone, we'd be peacefully dead by now. But you keep poisoning me, cutting parts off, and now this radiation. And you complain, it hurts, stop doing this to me, body. And I say, you're doing it to yourself. Leave me alone, and we'll pass gently and quietly into the night. Janet. True statements, but I love our life, don't you? Body. Some of your ideas of fun are extreme and painful. I'd prefer more yoga, long walks, not mountain climbs and heli skiing. Maybe more massages, dancing, and talks. Janet. Yeah, we don't talk much, and I do push you. But is it so bad you want out right now? Body. I don't have much choice. Cancer is all-consuming. It's gonna kill us eventually. It's up to you how much poison, radiation, and surgery you want to suffer through. But I'd request more pain meds at the very least. We don't have to suffer quite so much. You're always too proud, too strong. I can take this. You say, okay, body, you can puke, but could you just wait 30 minutes for the pain meds to kick in? Mixed messages. Janet. But I want to see and touch and do and taste and smell and feel everything. Don't you? Body. As long as we can, and it's nice, then yes. But we can't do everything. We all have to end sometime. There will always be things undone. You're in such a hurry. Well, you aren't giving me much time. Body. Lighten up. It's okay not to finish everything. Most people don't get to experience half of what you've already done in life. Be thankful. Enjoy our friends. Love, sunny days, blizzards. Take what comes and enjoy it until we let go and we die. I hope we don't keep fighting each other until the end. Janet. Me too. I'm listening to you. It's just hard to swallow. The end.
I love
beautiful.
that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
There's it really captures what a lot of us, and I'll say for me, go through when you feel like your body is your enemy, but also your friend. And you have to develop a relationship to move forward with, because unfortunately we can't switch bodies, even though sometimes we'd like to. It's beautifully written.
Thank you.
Okay, Lori, do you want to read next?
Sure. So I'm going to read a story called Look Good, Feel Shitty. When I was diagnosed, can you hear me okay? Yeah, okay. When I was diagnosed with stage 2B breast cancer in 2010, I was 41 years old. Whenever asked what stage I was, when I found my lump and was diagnosed, I say 2B. My reflective thought after that is to be or not to be, because that is, of course, the question that we all ask ourselves when we are diagnosed with cancer. Am I going to fucking die? My son was just 7. We have no family history of breast cancer, and the diagnosis came as a massive shock. I proceeded to undergo mastectomy, chemotherapy, radiation, reconstruction, multiple hospitalizations for infections and failed reconstruction, daily hormone therapy of tamoxifen, and then the aromatase inhibitor, letrozole. Now I get infusions for the osteoporosis caused by all of this hormone deprivation. One day, early on in the process, I was at my oncologist's office and read about an event for cancer patients. It was being held at the Ritz, so it seemed like a good excuse to get out of my sweats and go have some cancer-related fun. What an oxymoron. I grabbed a couple of my breast cancer sisters and we went together. We looked forward to some yummy snacks and pampering from the Look Good, Feel Better team, who were going to offer us makeovers and products to hopefully help us look a little less pallid and devoid of eyebrows. Circled up around large tables in a ritzy conference room, my girlfriends and I were surrounded by other women with breast cancer and a large crew of volunteer makeup artists who were there to take care of us. The room was abuzz in friendly banter and enthusiastic anticipation. Then the bags of cosmetics were handed out, and my mood turned from upbeat to astonished. What the hell was this shit they were handing me? The American Cancer Society was about to pamper us with donated products from a major cosmetics company that contained synthetic fragrance, parabens, and God knows what else. Why were they giving cancer patients known endocrine disruptors which mimic estrogen and can be carcinogenic? I was in active treatment for highly estrogen-sensitive breast cancer. I was cutting out estrogen-mimicking compounds wherever I could, and what I put on my body. I was on medication to block my breast cells from binding to estrogen. Then I go to a cancer-related event intended to support me, and I'm given this chemical crap. It made absolutely no sense to me, and I got pissed. I called over to one of the cosmetologists and said, there's fragrance in these products. She responded, oh, we only use the highest quality ingredients. I responded, all of these products have fragrance and parabens, which we all try to avoid. At this time, I was on tamoxifen and didn't even realize the additional issue, that these toxic chemicals are thought to interfere with tamoxifen's effectiveness. The irony and hypocrisy of the situation got me into a minor fury. I decided that I need to just leave. My friends walked out with me. We went out for a lovely dinner instead, much safer and less enraging. The happiness that comes with quality girl time makes me look better than any penciled on eyebrows do anyway. The next day, I called the organizer of the event and shared my concern about the dangerous products they were handing out to cancer patients. The organizer was courteous, though clueless, and said she would pass along my feedback. 2 years later, I was hospitalized twice for a total of 18 days to cope with infections in my breast reconstruction. Eventually, I lost the implant when the infection could not be managed. On the 7th day in the hospital, when all of my IV tubing was removed and changed out, they let me have my first real shower. This was not the kind of shower that involved the tenderness of my husband washing my hair in the hospital bathroom sink, but the kind where I actually got to stand, naked and free, no IV pole, no tubing, no needles, and luxuriate in a hot shower. I was given a towel and a little bag of products and directed to this private stall at the end of the hospital corridor. When I opened the bag of bath products, there they were again. Pink, green, highly fragranced crap stuff. Stuff I won't let my child use. Stuff I won't use on myself. Stuff that is full of all the ingredients that I try to avoid because they aren't good for any of us. There I was in the hospital, dealing with complications from highly estrogenic breast cancer, and the hospital was handing me this stuff? Really? That was 6 years ago. I just heard from another Bay's sister who attended a Look Good, Feel Better event this year that the same cosmetics company is still providing the makeovers and products. The same toxic personal care products and cosmetics are still being doled out to cancer patients in the name of looking good and feeling better. I would expect the American Cancer Society and the hospital system to be part of the solution, not another one of the chemical shitstorm perfume peddlers. Come on, people. You can do better than that. And I won't stop flapping my jaw about it until you do.
Yay. Thank you.
Amen.
I blogged about very much the same thing because I was outraged. I went to the session and then like they're getting people on chemotherapy to put eyeliner on, and I'm all like, you don't want to go anywhere near your eyes with these chemicals at that time. I was, yeah, quite outraged. And along the outrage line, I think we'll pass over to Alexandra.
Yeah, really.
Okay, I'm going to read a piece called Water Arm. And before I launch into it, I do just want to make sure you guys can hear me all right.
Yeah.
All right, good. All right. How do you spell cancer, Mommy? Inquired my 3-year-old son, Stanley. I asked him if he even knows what cancer is, and he says he doesn't, but a week later, the two of us were eating ice cream in a fancy waterfront restaurant when Stanley abruptly burst into tears. Sobbing, he said, "I'm afraid you're going to die, Mommy." I held him in my lap at the table, and we wept together until our waiter, looking alarmed, brought the check. I shouldn't know what cancer is. Sure, I had it, breast cancer, and all the barbaric treatments that go along with it. Surgery, chemo, radiation, and hormone therapy saved my life. However, friends attributed my survival to determination, a positive outlook, and adoption of complementary treatments, like acupuncture and juicing. After some doctors told me that chemo would leave me infertile, I even had a healthy baby without fertility assistance. I emerged from cancer triumphant. Friends and colleagues lauded me like a hero, and I let them. But all of that was more than twice Stanley's lifetime ago, 8 years in the distant past. And indeed, Stanley wouldn't know what cancer is if it weren't for the lymphedema in my frighteningly swollen left arm, perpetually wrapped in a giant compression cast. Every morning before work, my husband wrapped the compression cast around my arm while Stanley ate breakfast and watched this 30-minute routine. Every evening at bedtime, we spent 20 minutes just rolling the bandages back into little tubes, tucking them away for the night. Stanley always helped by rolling one or two into a tangled ball. I re-rolled them after he was asleep. When our little family went out to eat Ethiopian, Stanley called the rolls of spongy injera bandage bread. When I dropped Stanley off at preschool in my giant cast, he motioned in my direction and explained to his playmates, "My mommy got a water arm." He seemed at ease with my abnormality, and I marveled at the resilience of young children. A few months into this routine, Stanley was alone with my husband when he broke down again. "Mommy not getting any better. We help Daddy and her water arm not better." They cried together. After 4 months of bandaging, my lymphedema therapist announced that I could enter the maintenance phase. My left arm is still 1/3 larger than the right, and I cannot wear many long sleeve garments. I still need weekly physical therapy. The fabric on the over-the-counter compression sleeves buckled and chafed the skin, causing a rash that makes the swelling worse. I met with a medical device fitter. For $1,200, I bought something called a night garment. It is custom made and it looks like a shoulder-length oven mitt. I also got a made-to-measure sleeve and glove in nude at $500 a set. They were made in Germany and came with my surname printed inside and a personal note from someone named Julia who inspected them. My Cadillac PPO health policy says that none of it is covered by insurance because compression hosiery are personal items.
Good God.
I will need a new glove and sleeve every 3 months for life. And then I think about the cost of college for Stanley. Within a few weeks, the nude set becomes soiled and dirty from riding transit, hanging out with a toddler, and life in general. I ordered a black on black set. Stanley was delighted. "Mommy, now you Darth Mommy." I reached after him with my black hand, making breathing sounds. "Stanley, I am your mother. Join me, and together we will rule the universe." One day, Stanley wanders by when I'm doing my home exercises for lymphedema. Suddenly, he asks, "When can I have a baby sister?" And it's my turn to burst into tears. The acute flare-up of lymphedema was, most likely, caused by the hormonal crash that followed the miscarriage of my second pregnancy. The dramatic and sudden swelling came only a few days after I lost the baby at 8 weeks. Losing a baby and gaining a ruined arm sometimes feels like bad luck. And other times, like I was too greedy, wanting a second child after cancer. No longer the hero who triumphantly beat cancer, I am now visibly maimed by it. Just as I fear a cancer recurrence, I fear that to have saved my life from cancer, I must live without the enjoyable use of my arm. By trying to give Stanley a sibling, have I made myself less of a mother? How will I teach him to camp and hike when a bout of poison oak for me could end in amputation? Will I ever be able to take him backpacking? He'll never remember me before lymphedema when I was strong and unafraid to play in the wild. And now I wear my fears on my sleeve.
I want to give you a big hug.
Oh, thank you.
You know, I want to give you a big hug too. And I also just, it's like I hear your story and I feel so much grief and so many layers of grief as you're talking about, you know, the changes in your body and the changes in your sense of self as a mother and the loss of the pregnancy. And I mean, so many layers of loss. And then I go to this place of being so mad at that thing about, what did they call it? A luxury item? What the hell did they call the
Personal item. A personal item.
Like, are you kidding?
Yeah.
How much money does that cost you every 3 months?
It's $500 every 3 months.
I mean, what do they expect of people?
Well, and what's crazy is nobody's holding a gun to my head to buy $500 in compression garments every 3 months.
But
if I
didn't do that?
Well, if I didn't, then I would need additional therapy. I would eventually get cystitis. I would need hospitalization, that kind of thing. And that all costs a lot of money. So the maintenance is a lot cheaper than the treatment. And it's an example of that kind of penny wise, pound foolish thing that you get into with a lot of situations with cancer.
And now there was some legislation coming up on that. Did that actually go anywhere, or?
It's still it's still in front of the state legislation in a number of states, and so they're really trying to get it passed in all the different states. And there is a online petition that you can, if you go to the Lymphedema Treatment Act, there's an opportunity to sign an online petition to support that legislation in your home state.
I'm not sure if everybody who is listening to this or watching this, but lymphedema is an unfortunate, horrible side effect of breast cancer. It usually, and Alexandra is a perfect example of usual versus not, but the more lymph nodes you have removed, the more common it could potentially be. And the data is not particularly very clear. In some ways they say you must exercise a certain amount in order to prevent it, but then on other sides it says if you exercise too much, you could be exacerbating or creating it. Things as innocuous as a mosquito bite or a paper cut on the side that has the lymph nodes removed is all that you really need to potentially start lymphedema. And once it starts, it requires regular maintenance, as Alexandra said. I actually met her not through Bayes initially, but through our physical therapist who specializes in lymphedemic issues and breast cancer. She's a survivor herself. And we met when I just had my mastectomy and was going through chemo, trying to get rid of the cording that had happened because I had 13 lymph nodes removed in my left side and trying to prevent that. And apparently, you tell me if this is wrong, but apparently it's more common on your left side than on your right side. So for those of us blessed with left side breast cancer like myself, you not only potentially have some issues related to radiation-induced lung and heart stuff, but you also have a more increased risk of lymphedema.
That's
Yay!
That
is so interesting. I did not know that, Kristen.
Yeah, 'cause apparently like 2/3 of your upper body is drained on your left side versus your right side. Even though you might have the same amount of lymph nodes on either side, you're actually utilizing your left side for lymphatic drainage more on your torso.
I'm getting numbness and tingling as you speak.
That's interesting. I only had 2 nodes removed, and I had lymphedema on the left side. And I have bilateral cancer, so I have nodes out on both sides. But was lucky enough to have caught it very, very quickly, and it being very, very mild at the time. And then got in to see the specialist, Dr. Roxon, very early on. And so after 6 months, and I wore a sleeve every day for 6 months, and it's cleared up, but it's never considered clear, right? So I'm at anytime I'm over a certain elevation, I have to wear sleeves. Anytime I fly, and that caution. But yeah, I
was symptom free in terms of lymphedema for the first 7 years after my diagnosis and treatment. I did have cording. I had a couple bouts with very mild swelling, cleared up in a month or 2 with physical therapy, and was considered not to have lymphedema when the miscarriage tipped it over, and it very suddenly doubled in size. And I actually had a lymphedema nurse tell me, pregnancy and miscarriage are not related to lymphedema, but that's exactly what happened in my case. And it's taken me months to get an appointment with Dr. Roxon, but I'm going to see him in April, so I'm hoping for some help there. I've been on the lymphedema journey for about 18 months now, wearing a sleeve every day, weekly treatment with PT.
Well, crossing fingers and hoping that he can get you, if nothing else, his clinic does know mysterious ways in which to get access to equipment. And stuff like that. Because I actually talked to somebody the other day who commented that she had it was through his office that they were able to fight the insurance to get some of the overnight equipment paid for and stuff. And so crossing fingers, I so hope
overnight equipment. What does that mean? Like a pressure kind of a.
Remember when you were in surgery? Did they put the little things on your feet?
Yeah. So
similar.
People take that at home and put it on their arm to sleep in?
It's similar, but it's different. It actually...
I have one.
Do you have one? You want to explain it?
It looks like an oven mitt. It's like an oven mitt, and the inside is like corrugated, almost like corrugated cardboard to sort of help the lymph channels. It's like an oven mitt, and then on the outside, it's a compression garment that squeezes the mitt onto your hand and your arm.
Oh, got it.
And I wear it every night, and it's my claw.
Yeah, mine is very effective. It's been incredibly helpful, and it's a bunch of foam chips in kind of inside it's mesh and corrugated, just like Janet described. And then on the outside, again, it's stretchy. And what it does is it breaks up fibrosis. So it's mildly compressive. It's not quite as compressive as my daytime, sleeve and garment is, but it puts the pressure in different places so that you don't get that fibrotic tissue development, and it kind of, the 1-2 punch of the decompression and the breaking up of the fibrosis helps keep the tissues and from getting hardened, and it helps keep the proteins from getting trapped in the limb, which is part of it. So yeah, lymphedema is poorly understood. You know, it's hard to treat, it's not curable, and it's poorly covered by insurance, and it's kind of a pernicious, you know, pernicious thing that people can't get rid of. You know, I chose to write this story in large part to raise awareness of lymphedema. That was a big motivating factor for me.
You know, I get really pissed about these sorts of issues where there's really a social justice issue. Like, your compression sleeve should not be a luxury item that only someone who's able to pay for them should be able to have.
Yeah, and I'm fortunate that I can pay for it, but I think about all the people who don't have that option.
That just gets me really angry, that someone who doesn't have the money to pay for them should have to have the cystitis or the hospitalizations or the more entrenched lymphedema that you can't get on top of.
And there are massive social justice issues associated with lymphedema, and it takes us away a little bit from the cancer story, but just to mention that there are millions of people in places like India and Africa suffering from lymphedema that's caused by parasites, and they don't have the kinds of access to medical care. So people often will say, oh, you have this very rare condition, hardly anybody gets that. But there are millions upon millions of people around the globe, millions in the United States, but many more millions outside the United States who have it because of their lack of access to clean drinking water. Well, Lori, your piece had a big social, oh, go ahead, Becky.
I was just going to say, it's not that rare in that, like, it's in the breast cancer community, but it's in other cancers as well. Anything that involves the removal of lymph nodes can potentially, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But even getting your blood pressure done, like you can't get, you know, and all these things can.
Right. And then once you have lymphedema, that was something you didn't mention, but that is another problem, is that then we can't have blood pressure, needles, no lab draws on that side.
IVs. I got to do IVs in the foot because I've had both sides, right? So I don't have the side choice.
That's the worst.
Although I was given clearance.
I got El Porto.
I was given clearance for the blood pressure cuff on my right side, which was not the one that was like, I've had nodes out on both sides, but it was the non-infected one. But not IVs. It was like something like a 1% chance of developing lymphedema with an IV every time you put one in.
Right. Wow. That's a full-on no for me.
Yeah. Me too.
I thought Brittany had asked a nice question on the side there that she wanted to ask why each of us chose to write and publish our pieces. And Alexandra said, you know, because she wanted to raise awareness about lymphedema and also to tell her story, which is just so heart-wrenching. So, I guess I'll go.
Go for it.
I wrote after I had a targeted procedure called radioembolization to my liver. And I was writhing in pain for like a month. And I was having a dialogue with my body. And I was like, this really sucks. And my body was like, well, then stop doing it. And I was like, but then we're going to die, you know? And I had to sort of process that. And, you know, so that was why I wrote.
Can I just say too, as someone who knows Janet, it must have been really friggin' bad for her to be saying that. Yeah. Janet is like the most, you know, physically robust and vigorous person I've probably ever met in terms of the kinds of physical adventures she does and risks and like the amount she pushes her body to. Like, So for her to be at a point where the pain is so great, that makes me want to cry. For her to be at a point where the pain is so great that she's having that conversation, that is extraordinary pain.
Thank you.
That,
Thank you. Yeah, it was pretty bad. My oncologist, who's known me for 9 years, he said in 9 years of a lot of treatments and a lot of side effects and a lot of shit, he said he's never seen me so sick as after I had that radiation. I was so sick. I couldn't continue with my next treatment for like 2 months because I was too sick. And that never happens to me. I'm always like, give me the next one. Give me the next one. And it was bad. So for better or worse, I don't get to do it again because now I have bone mets. Sorry. Yeah.
And you are such a tough cookie. You've been through so much, and your indomitable spirit. And I love the dialogue because it really shows this mind over body thing, and that you know that you are your mind and your heart and your will, and it just really kind of capitalizes on the you in the equation, and that you is beautiful.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah. I want to do it all until I fall down and can't. I mean, that time comes, it will come. So trying to accept.
No, I think it's it ties in, I think, a little bit with why we all wrote, or why I wrote too. It's for, you see the inspiration and you read about the Janets of the world and all of the rest of you that are here. And for me, I got strength by reading about others' experiences and about writing about my own and processing it. You know, there's a lot of anger and anxiety and physical pain, but also mental pain and mourning and grief that I had to go through, not just from why did this happen to me and why did my body do this and why did cancer invade so much and why did it go, but the fear of where it's going to go next, or is it killed by the treatment? Is it not? Will it come back? Will it not come back? When it just makes you think about what really matters and what doesn't matter. And for me, finding the absurdities of things like falling in love with my port and then breaking up with him, and thinking about my boob. I like Lori had some failed reconstruction, and I had a rebellious boob that ran away twice. My one that I have right now, thank goodness, I had bilateral mastectomies, but the one on the left side is in now, which is really great. She's been around for a little while. But for me, it's been a really beautiful, cathartic thing that I've been able to get in touch with that creative side to me that I think I was pushing down with life, with work and career and all the day-to-day stuff and being a mother. And now I've made myself be aware of that creative side, and I force myself to write or color or, you know, paint my nails. I mean, just anything that allows me to be a little bit creative. And I encourage that with my son, and I encourage that even with my family, because it allows that outpouring of the good and the bad emotions that allow me to be more connected with that. And then as a result, be more healed, be more accepting and ready to move forward with more strength and purpose.
Kristen, so well said.
Yes.
Absolutely.
And I love your personification of your body parts. It's phenomenal. It's so great.
Well, I'm going to do a little art project, I think, with my boob that tried to escape twice. Well, actually did. And my port and maybe myself in a little shadow box. So if any of you guys are interested in that, let me know. I'm happy to have it.
Did you get to keep your implant?
I did.
Wow, I had to have an implant exchange, and they never let me lay eyes on that implant.
Look what I kept. I kept thing from radiation.
Oh, I have one of those. Oh, I have the smaller one. The one for my head.
The thing that I used to lay in, I always felt like it looked like when Han Solo was frozen in Star Wars. It was like this imprint, the kind of frozen-looking imprint of me contorted in a strange position, and it felt like a Star Wars moment to be, you know, kind of enter into the radiation machine every day.
I know. I had them take pictures of me with like the dots and like in the actual thing with my arm up like this and not moving, and you have all those like metal things on you and dot and all that stuff. I have a couple pictures of that. It's pretty sexy, I have to say.
You know, we're moving in a few days, and I think if I have not done anything, I was imagining some art project with that radiation thing, that red thing, but I think if I haven't done it yet, I'm moving. It's time to let that thing go. I'm going to let that bad boy go.
Let it go.
Wow. Okay, well, here's the implant for people who want to see it. This was the one that tried to escape a couple of times.
Awesome.
Nice and
Incredible.
squishy. It was a shaped one for all of you that are interested in that.
That's super cool.
Oh,
Yeah, so I'm thinking about spray painting it like a nice green, and then it can be a hill.
okay. A hill to climb.
In a little
That would-
Lego village or something.
Exactly, exactly. Anyway.
We are getting close towards the end. We are at 8:30 now. We started a few minutes late. We can go for a few more minutes before we need to close off, but we give a cap at about an hour and 15 minutes. Otherwise, closed captioning doesn't work. Does anyone else want to share why?
Oh, I will.
Yeah. Go for it, Lori.
Parts of what everyone else said resonated with me. I think what happened for me was this, like, I had never done any writing before. I got sick, and then I just suddenly all these stories were just kind of happening, you know, because you're living this crazy life, and there's so much absurdity, there's so much insanity, and I just developed this very dark sense of humor about it. And so writing about it, sometimes I just felt like, okay, I'm gonna laugh so that I'm not like choking on my tears all the time, like. So I just kind of tried to find the insanity in some of these experiences. I also, part of the insanity was like this activism that kind of got stirred up in me that I hadn't experienced before, you know, around, for example, you know, chemicals in our products and how dangerous and disgusting they are for our health and how we don't even know it. And I get enraged. And to hear that Alexandra's paying $500 every 3 months, I get enraged. Like these health issues just became things that were just boiling up in me. And so writing about them was actually a helpful release, I found. So there was that part of it. And there was also just, I wrote about things because it was a way to keep my loved ones in touch with what was happening with me. And to break I mean, you can't break the isolation of cancer. I mean, you're the only one who's getting cut up and burned, and you know, that's why your Bay's sister, your community of other women, other people that are going through this is why it's so important, because you kind of can understand how crazily under siege you feel in every way. And, you know, there's a way in which writing helped me to kind of illuminate a little bit about what I was going through and a little bit of what I was thinking about in this odyssey.
I actually published the piece that I read the day after I got diagnosed. And I didn't really think it all the way through, like why I was doing or what I was doing. And I think part of it was what I wrote in the piece. Like I just really could not call everybody. I couldn't do it. And I think also it was a way paying attention to what was happening, to those details, was a way of like being there but not absorbing the full weight of it in the moment, which I wasn't really prepared for. And then also just, you know, that one person who whispered to me like, you know, so-and-so told me, the idea that would be happening or that my close friends and family couldn't talk about it just didn't feel right for me. And then I think also, like, I didn't know anyone with cancer. No one in my family had cancer. None of my friends had cancer. And so the idea that, like, you know, by writing about it, I might help other people understand and not be so scared. Because yes, a lot of bad things can happen, and I'm actually, like, way earlier in my journey than any of you. But like Lori said, a lot of it's fucking funny. Like, a lot of this is just so bizarre and weird, and like, you have to laugh. And so kind of demystifying that part, I think, is rewarding.
Yeah, I have to agree with some of the laughter too. I found that and actually what all of you guys were saying is sort of like sometimes the stories just come to you, and I couldn't not write. Like, I held off, and I was a blogger before, but I held off my blog about 2 days after, and I just couldn't not get it. It's like, I can't wait for the pathography to come through. I just gotta get these ideas and these stories and these, and actually the story that I wrote for this book was about, it's titled Window Shopping. But it was about when I was walking through Sausalito just before, and it was like, the pathology hadn't come through, but I was told that I'd probably need a double mastectomy because I had cancer on both sides, and some vague information about reconstruction, but nothing. I knew nothing. And so I was walking through Sausalito with my husband, and I realized that I was suddenly looking at women's breasts. And I'd never really done that before. And I'm like, that's really funny, right? And that's like one of those complete absurdities, right? Like, how absurd is that? But I'm like, yeah, do I want those ones? Do I want, it's like, what am I thinking? And so kind of crazy. But I think that really the educational aspect of it is really important too. And for me, my family's all afar. I was diagnosed 3 weeks after moving to California from Canada. So my friends and family weren't here, and I couldn't speak it. I couldn't say it out loud. And then people wanted to phone me, and I'm like, I don't want to talk to anybody on the telephone. I'll break out into tears. There's no point. Yeah. So being able to just write it and have that was big for me.
Mm-hmm.
Well, so much about reading your experiences is kind of unifying for me, and sort of connects us to each other. And I really draw a lot of strength and compassion from it. I mean, there's something in every story that resonates for my experience. And I think about things like your story, Becky, which I heard you read at another reading, and just laughing at, you know, I look at women's breasts differently now than I did before I ever had cancer. Or your story, Lindsay, you know, that surrealism of a new diagnosis when it comes out of left field, and it's like stepping through some kind of space portal, and you're looking at, I mean, those, my tumor looked like a nebula too, and it just really resonates for me, and makes it, you know, it creates that bridge between us, that we're not alone, and it breaks down that isolation just a little bit.
I totally agree. I feel the same way. Going through Lindsay's initial diagnosis, it brings me back to what I went through. And, you know, whenever I wear my lymphedema prevention sleeve, whenever I'm on a plane, and granted, I'm also in a tank top because I'm going through hot flushes and such being on a plane. So it's in full force viewing for everyone. And I think about your story, and I think about seeing you. And when I think about going in for PET scans and other, I think about all of you and your experiences just as well as mine, because I do make those connections, and it breaks down that isolation that we can tend to put ourselves in, because it's frightening and it's scary. And having the community of folks that are also going through it, where we can talk about it really openly and honestly, and allow that part of our soul to be exposed, which is really frightening and scary. It just allows us to make that heal a little bit, and also make sense of it. You are all putting words to things that are in my head, but I haven't quite been able to understand quite fully. And so I read that, and it helps me.
Thank you. That's wonderful. I think, Lori, did you want to read that poem as we were ending?
You mean Janet?
Or was it Janet? Yeah.
I was going to do In a Hurry.
Yeah.
If you want. It's just
Yes,
a minute.
Janet. Yeah, that'd be
I
awesome.
love that poem.
And yeah, some of it's kind of like what I read, but so it's called In a Hurry. I want to see, touch, do, taste, smell, feel everything. I want to walk the earth, climb the mountains, and snowboard down. Try everything at least once. Lots to do, I'm in a hurry, not much time left. How long before the cancer makes it impossible? Narrows the world to just my room, my office, my room, my doctor's office, the hospital. I don't know. I can't know. Time wasted, planning for a future I don't have. Working to save for a family I will never have. No more. I'm here now to experience everything. To dance and sing and laugh around the world and at home. But I can't do it all. No lifetime is enough to experience everything. To watch the sunrise from space. I will see, touch, do, taste, smell, and feel everything I can in my lifetime, however long or short it may be. And it will be enough.
Beautiful. Thank you, everybody. I want to put one more plug in, and there's a plug on the website. It's called Agony and Absurdity, Adventures in Cancerland. You can find it on Amazon. It's a fundraiser for Bay Area Young Survivors, which is the group that we are a part of. And so if you're doing your Christmas shopping, it's available on Amazon. And with that, thank you, everybody, for being part of this Virtually Connecting. I'm going to now stop the broadcast.
Thank you for having us, Becky.
Thank you.
Thank you for having